Most people don't get broken by bad relationships. They get broken by betraying their own standards, by abandoning the lines they once swore they'd never cross, just to be loved. Not because they didn't care, not because they weren't strong, but because somewhere along the way, they decided that losing themselves was a price worth paying to keep someone else around. And that's the real heartbreak. Not the ending of a relationship, but the slow erosion of your own dignity. I once knew a man like that. A good man, strong in his work, clear in his mind, but not in his heart. He entered a relationship full of high standards, clear principles. But little by little, fear began to whisper in his ear. If you say no, she might leave. If you hold that line, you'll end up alone. So he bent. He tolerated things he once swore he never would. He said yes when every fiber of his being screamed no. And in the end, he didn't just lose her. He lost himself. Standards aren't walls to keep people out. They are doors. Doors that protect the kingdom you've built inside yourself. Doors that decide who is worthy to enter and who must stay outside. Without standards, you invite chaos into your life. With them, you create peace and power. Today, you're going to learn exactly how to build those doors. With clarity, with courage, with calm strength. Not with arrogance, not with ego, but with the quiet, steady hand of a king who knows that his value is not up for negotiation. And when you master this, you won't have to chase loyalty or love anymore. You'll attract it effortlessly. 1. Define your throne before you invite a queen. Before you even think about who you allow into your life, you must first decide what kind of life you are building. You are not just another man wandering around. You are a king, and a king doesn't beg for loyalty. He builds a kingdom that demands it. But here's the truth most people never tell you. A kingdom without walls is just open land waiting to be conquered. If you don't set the laws, if you don't raise the gates, if you don't guard the throne, then don't be surprised when chaos comes walking through your front door. You can't blame the invaders when you left the door wide open. Most men don't lose their power because someone ripped it from their hands. They lose it because they handed it over, bit by bit, compromise after compromise, until there's nothing left but regret, not in a loud collapse, but in a quiet surrender. It happens in the small moments. When you say yes to what you know is wrong, when you tolerate disrespect because you're scared to speak, when you trade your standards for temporary affection. Every time you bend like that, you carve away a piece of yourself until the throne you were meant to rule sits empty and forgotten. So how do you reclaim it? You start with a simple declaration. Grab a notebook and at the top of the page write, "The man I refuse to betray." Then beneath that, set down 3 laws, 3 non-negotiable standards that define who you are, no matter who comes or goes. Ask yourself, what lines will I never cross, not for anyone? What values must be honored in anyone who wants to stand beside me? Where does my loyalty to myself outweigh my love for anyone else? Maybe it's respect. Maybe it's honesty. Maybe it's loyalty when no one's watching. Whatever they are, these are not suggestions. These are your unbreakable laws. And when someone steps into your life, they don't get to rewrite them. They either rise to meet them or they leave. Because if your kingdom isn't guarded by standards, it will be conquered by compromise. But understand this. Writing your standards is the easy part. Living them, when loneliness whispers, when temptation smiles, That's where kings are forged, when the fire gets hot. When fear says, "Bend just this once." Will you stay standing, or will you trade your crown for comfort? Because defining your throne is only the beginning. Next, you must defend it, without fear of rejection. 2. Set your rules without fear of rejection. It's easy to set rules when no one is testing you. It's easy to write down standards when you are sitting alone, safe, untouched. But real life, real relationships, don't test you in silence. They test you in the tension of wanting someone and knowing you must still choose yourself. Because the real battle isn't about setting standards. It's about defending them when your heart is on the line, when you care about someone, when you don't want to lose them. That's when the pressure comes. And in those moments, your fear of rejection whispers louder than your values. Maybe this one time it's okay. Maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe if I bend, they'll stay. But every time you bend your standards to avoid being rejected, you are not saving a relationship. You are sacrificing a piece of your soul, not all at once, but slice by slice by slice. You have to understand. Fear of rejection isn't just emotional, it's spiritual. It's the slow death of your dignity. And every time you bow to that fear, you are teaching the world how little you believe in yourself. You are telling them, my worth is negotiable. My boundaries are flexible. My throne is for sale to whoever smiles sweet enough. You cannot lead your life like that, not if you want to be a king, because a king doesn't set rules out of arrogance. He sets them out of love for himself first. He knows that real loyalty can only be given freely, never extracted through fear. Here's what you must do. The next time you feel that fear rising, the next time you're tempted to say yes just to keep the peace, pause, breathe deep, feel your spine straighten, and say your standard out loud, not aggressively, not apologetically, but calmly, like a man who knows he would rather stand alone than kneel in company. Because this is the truth. Setting your standards isn't about controlling others. It's about refusing to betray yourself, even when it hurts. And that is what builds the kind of presence that doesn't just attract people. It commands respect without ever asking. But holding your standards only prepares you for the next battlefield, because when you finally stand firm, there's one more skill you must master. The art of saying no without guilt, without explanation, without fear. 3. Learn the power of saying no without guilt. If you cannot say no, then your yes has no meaning. Every time you agree to something you don't truly believe in, every time you say yes to avoid discomfort, every time you betray your inner voice just to please someone else, you lose a little piece of yourself. And here's the dangerous part. You don't feel it immediately. You don't collapse after one bad decision. You collapse after 1,000 tiny ones, stacked silently on top of each other, until one day, you no longer recognize the man standing in your own mirror. Most people think saying no will cost them something, that it will make them seem selfish, or cold, or unlovable. But the truth is the opposite. Every no you speak from a place of self-respect builds the foundation of the man you are meant to become. A man who says no when necessary is a man who can be trusted, not just by others, but by himself. Think about it. What is a boundary if you're too scared to enforce it? What is a standard if you abandon it the moment someone questions it? Without the power to say no, your standards are just suggestions. Your life becomes negotiable. And kings don't negotiate their thrones, they protect them without apology. So here's your task. In the next 7 days, find one moment, one real situation where you feel that familiar pressure building inside. The pressure to agree, the pressure to stay quiet, the pressure to accept what you know doesn't honor who you are. And when that moment comes, choose yourself. Say no. Say it clearly. Say it calmly. Say it without guilt. No need for anger, no need for drama, just a simple, immovable number. Because every time you say no with honor, you carve your throne a little deeper into the stone. And remember this: if your no offends someone who was meant to be in your life, then they were never meant to stay. Real loyalty, real connection will survive your boundaries. It won't require you to destroy them. Still, there's a deeper truth you must face. Words are easy. Promises are cheap. Anyone can say they respect your standards, but only time and pressure reveal the truth. And that's why the next law of kingship is essential. Don't assume loyalty, test it. 4. Test loyalty, don't assume it. It's easy for people to say they're loyal when everything's good, when the weather's clear, when the road's smooth. But real loyalty shows up when things get uncomfortable, when it's no longer convenient, when sticking around actually costs something. We've all been there. Someone promises you they'll always be there. They say all the right things. They tell you what you want to hear, but then life gets hard, or you set a boundary they don't like, or you say no, and suddenly they're not as solid as they sounded. And that's when you realize loyalty isn't something you hear, it's something you see. The mistake most people make is trusting words too fast. They want to believe so badly that they skip the one thing that never lies: time. Time shows you who people really are. Pressure shows you. Boundaries show you. Not promises, not good days, not pretty words. Here's the simple truth. If you want to protect your peace, if you want to protect your standards, you have to stop assuming loyalty. You have to test it, and not with some crazy games, not by setting traps, just by being yourself, holding your line, and watching how people react over time. Here's what you need to do. Slow down. Don't rush to hand people the keys to your kingdom. Watch. Who keeps showing up? Who respects your boundaries when it's not easy? Who doesn't just agree with you, but stands with you when it matters? Because when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Believe them the first time. And sometimes loyalty isn't what you thought it would be. Sometimes people you trusted will fail the test. And when that happens, you have to be strong enough to choose yourself, even if it hurts, because a king doesn't keep people around just to avoid being alone. He chooses his peace over his comfort every single time. And that's where the final test of kingship shows up. Not in keeping people close, but in walking away with your dignity intact. Because the strength to walk away is what truly sets you apart. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Walking away like a king, no drama, no negotiation. 5. Walk away like a king, no drama, no negotiation. Here's the part no one likes to talk about. Sometimes you have to walk away, not with anger, not with revenge in your heart, not with a speech about how you deserved better. You just walk. Silent, calm, sure of yourself. Because a real king doesn't beg people to stay. He doesn't lower his standards. He doesn't start negotiating the rules of his kingdom just to keep someone close. He knows who he is. He knows what his kingdom stands for. And if someone can't live by those laws, they don't belong inside the gates. Simple as that. It's not about ego. It's not about thinking you're better than someone else. It's about understanding this truth. If keeping you means losing me, then I will choose me every time. Because a king who loses himself to keep company is no king at all. He's just another man, afraid to be alone, and fear makes terrible kings. Here's what you must practice the next time someone crosses your line, the next time someone shows you, through their actions, that they can't honor your standards. Don't argue. Don't try to convince them. Don't start explaining why your standards matter. Just stand up, straighten your crown, and leave. Quietly, cleanly, powerfully. Because the loudest strength is the one that doesn't need to raise its voice. Walking away without drama, without negotiation, is not weakness. It's the ultimate act of self-respect. It says to the world, I would rather stand alone in my truth than sit surrounded by people who only love the version of me that doesn't exist anymore. And here's the beautiful part. When you have the strength to walk away like a king, you don't just protect your standards, you elevate them. You set the tone for every future connection in your life, because people might forget what you said, but they'll never forget what you tolerated, or what you refused to tolerate. And from that moment on, you don't chase loyalty, you attract it. You don't chase respect, you embody it. Earn respect by living your standards. When it's all said and done, it comes back to 5 simple truths. Define your throne. Know who you are. Before you invite anyone to stand beside you, set your rules without fear. Let your standards be clear, even when it's uncomfortable. Say no without guilt. Protect your dignity. Before you protect anyone's feelings, test loyalty patiently. Don't believe words. Believe patterns. Believe time. Walk away without negotiation. No drama, no explanations, just quiet strength. Because here's the final truth you need to remember. Respect is not given. Respect is earned. First from yourself. If you don't honor your own standards, no one else will. If you're not willing to stand alone, you'll never stand tall. And once you build this inside yourself, once you live by these laws, you won't have to chase respect anymore. It will find you. If you're ready to take this even deeper, if you want to learn how to command respect in any relationship without chasing it, watch this next video right here. And if this message spoke to you, hit that like button. It tells the algorithm this content matters. Share this video with someone you know needs to hear it. And subscribe, because kings don't just live by standards. They keep sharpening them every day.